The BJP legislature party is likely to meet this afternoon to select a new leader after the resignation of Vijay Rupani. Well, let's go across to Saurabh for more on this. And Saurabh, so tell us more about what's being said. And as Sanket said there, those who were following, closely the developments in Gujarat, there was an inkling that Rupani would resign.
Well, there was always talk that there was discontent in the party with Mr. Rupani and that he didn't get along at all with C.R. Patil, the state BJP president. Now, that was no secret. In fact, it was very out in the open. In fact, it came out in the open, especially during the remdesivir crisis during the second wave, where, Mr. C.R. Patil had announced he has some X number of doses. And when the chief minister was asked about it, he said, you should ask Mr. Patil that. So, they always had a frosty relationship, but what we're being given to understand is that the rank and file of the BJP weren't really in sync with Mr. Rupani, and there was always talk about him possibly being removed ahead of the elections. But yes, the timing did come as a surprise. With a year to go, the BJP seems to have not waited on, making changes. That is something that's happening. Now, this has Amit Shah's stamp all over it. The Union Home Minister, who's also a legislator from Gujarat, his parliamentary constituency is here in Ahmedabad. So obviously, this is something that he will very, very closely monitor, and it's all according to Mr. Modi, the Prime Minister, and Mr. Amit Shah, the Home Minister, who've been directing this thing. Senior leaders of the BJP are arriving this morning, including we're being told Mr. Tomar, Mr. B.L. Santosh, the BJP's organization person, and also, other leaders like Bhupendra Yadav already had a high-level meeting yesterday. Today, of course, at 2 o'clock at the state BJP headquarters, which is called Kamalam in Gandhinagar, a short distance from here, the legislature party meeting is going to take place, where a name is likely to be finalized as the chief ministerial candidate who will lead the BJP into the polls in 2022. Assembly elections are just a year away, and the BJP seems to have made changes according to the demands from several constituencies within the party. But how will it respond to the Patel community, a key constituency in Gujarat? Remember, the Patel community is one community that cannot be ignored simply because of the numbers in electoral politics in Gujarat. And that's something that the BJP is going to keep an eye on and keep in mind when it decides on the next leader or the next chief minister of the state. The last election, of course, was not a cakewalk for the BJP. The BJP didn't do as well as it expected to, and the Congress, performed quite well. This time around, of course, there's many are considering the Aam Aadmi Party a player in Gujarat, and of course, there's the Congress. But that is actually a good news for the BJP because it just ends up dividing the opposition votes and helps the BJP instead of the opposition parties. So that is one thing here, but obviously all eyes on that crucial BJP legislature meeting at 2 o'clock at the BJP headquarters in Gandhinagar.
All right, Saurabh. So today we may have a name of who is going to replace Mr. Rupani. Thanks so much for joining us with those details.